Does To the Stars Academy have in its possession metals fashioned from an intelligence outside of the human race? July 25th, 2019, To the Stars Academy published a press release regarding exotic materials that were acquired from Linda Moulton Howe. Former head of advanced systems at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Steve Justice, said the following regarding these materials. The structure and composition of these materials are not from any known existing military or commercial application. Considering who Steve Justice is, that's not a trivial statement. Apparently, the United States Army doesn't find that sentiment trivial either. In a question and answer segment on To the Stars Academy's website regarding its partnership with the Army, it is relayed. The credentials of the people on the To the Stars Academy team who articulated the initial analysis of the materials is what caught the U.S. Army team's attention. To the Stars Academy team members are serious industry professionals with respected backgrounds in industry, material science, and defense work. As it turns out, Linda Moulton Howe sold alleged non-human made materials to the Stars Academy for $35,000. It was a three-way deal between her, To the Stars Academy, and the United States Army. Of course, these are not the only materials that are being examined that could potentially prove to have an origin outside of the human race. Here is Luis Elizondo discussing various exotic materials that To the Stars Academy has been able to come into possession of.
You gotta have scientists at the end of the day to figure out just what the hell it is we're looking at. What makes this material so special? Now, in some cases, this material was told it's special. Through analysis, guess what? Not so special. But some of it is absolutely special. I won't point out which ones on that slide, but there are some that are absolutely special and have been briefed to some very, very senior levels of this government. And they do remarkable and extraordinary things, and they're built in such a way that to this day we still can't replicate it. To this day. So that should be very telling.
Notice that Elizondo has stated that some of these materials have been briefed to very senior levels of the United States government, and to this day, they cannot be replicated. Hopefully, the United States Congress is pursuing more information on these materials, as well as materials that Elizondo has stated are from UFO debris and currently possessed by the United States government. I will give you some backstory regarding the materials that Linda Moulton Howe sold to the Stars Academy. In the late 1940s, there was allegedly a UFO crash in White Sands, New Mexico, not Roswell, mind you. During the military retrieval operation of the UFO, a security officer managed to extract a sample from the underbelly of a wedge-shaped craft. According to him, the material on the bottom of the craft glowed green for 3 hours. He held on to this material, but eventually he passed it on to his grandson. In 1996, his grandson sent this material to famed radio host Art Bell, and Art Bell shared some of it with journalist Linda Moulton Howe. Over the past 22 years, Linda Moulton Howe has had various scientists and industry experts examine the material, and Howe has relayed that many of them have concluded that the material is indeed anomalous in nature. According to Howe Putoff, the bismuth layer is 3 microns, and the magnesium layer is 150 microns. To put this in perspective, a hemoglobin cell is 8 microns, and a human hair is only 100 microns. The bismuth, magnesium, zinc is layered throughout the specimen. One reason this specimen is considered anomalous is because the bismuth and magnesium is bonded without any adhesive present, and there is apparently no known technology to accomplish that feat. While this by no means proves the metal originates from an off-world intelligence, it is intriguing considering the backstory of this material. Physicist Howe Putoff hypothesizes that the bismuth, magnesium, zinc layered material is a waveguide, and that if it is hit with enough terahertz, it will float. Linda Moulton Howe sold the material to the Stars Academy in a 3-way deal between them and the United States Army because nobody was ever able to produce the required terahertz generator that could create the necessary frequency that, according to Howe Putoff's hypothesis, would make the specimen float. And so the hope of Linda Moulton Howe is that the United States Army, with all its funding, has the necessary resources to produce the necessary terahertz generator to test Hal Puthoff's hypothesis and make the specimen float. We're all familiar with Luis Elizondo being asked on Tucker Carlson's show if he believes the U.S. government has UFO debris in its possession. As you recall, Elizondo, the former head of ATIP, said that he does.
Simply put, yes.
There has been a very interesting development similar to this that has happened very recently. Tucker Carlson was interviewing Nick Pope for the show Ancient Aliens, and here is their conversation that has a potentially major bombshell of a revelation. Tucker conveyed, "I've heard this from someone who I think is knowledgeable in the subject. There is physical evidence that the U.S. government is holding, which would tell us a lot more about what these objects are. The person who told me is someone who worked on this within the government for many years who would know. I asked point blank, is there physical evidence of these objects, these aircraft? And he said, yes, there is." Pope then asked Carlson if the evidence was the wreckage of UFOs, to which Carlson replied, that is correct. Now, when I first saw this, I thought that Carlson was referencing Luis Elizondo, but that may not actually be the case. Here's a Twitter exchange from December 3rd. Tucker probably forgot Elizondo's name. I'm not joking. Nick Pope responds, for a number of reasons, which I'm not able to state, sorry to be a tease, I don't think this is correct. And with apologies for the double tease, I wish I could share some of the things that were said once we'd stopped filming. In other words, Nick Pope is under the impression that Tucker Carlson spoke to someone in the know that wasn't Luis Elizondo, that shared the same sentiment that Luis Elizondo did, that being the U.S. government does indeed have UFO wreckage in its possession. I would like to know what Tucker Carlson shared with Nick Pope after filming was done. What we can ascertain for certain is that Carlson made it clear that this person worked within the UFO subject, and it doesn't seem to be Luis Elizondo according to Nick Pope. Now, do I think the U.S. government has within its possession debris and possibly intact craft of vehicles that were not forged by the hands of man? I'm not 100%, but I have a strong suspicion that the answer is they do. And it's very simple why I feel that way. For one thing, we have a 72-year history of incursions and flights all over the globe of UAP. And many of these incidents are highly corroborated. They involve pilots and generals and politicians and people of every walk of life you can possibly imagine. There's just too many reports, too much corroboration. You just can't explain it all away. You have witnesses who have seen objects in the ocean, in the sky, in space. You also have endless amounts of people who claim that they have had encounters of the beings in their bedroom and in close proximity. Sure, many of them might be lying. Sure, many of them might be delusional. Do I think they're all lying and delusional? No, I do not. Nor do I think that's the intellectual take. So we gather that this presence is intimately involved in our civilization. They're not just watching from afar. There is an engagement for sure. What they're doing, what their intention is, what they're trying to accomplish, I have no idea. So when you take all that into consideration, is it really a big leap that there have been incidents where either debris from a UFO has fallen off the craft and or there have been craft that have been recovered from crashes or maybe excavations? No, it's really not a big leap whatsoever. Now, do I think these crashes, these alleged crashes, were done because something went wrong with the technology? Not necessarily. It could have been intentional. We don't know. But when you accept that UFOs are real and that they are technology that are not forged by the hands of man and they've been here a very long time, once you accept that, it's not really a big leap to the United States government has some of this material. Not a big leap at all, in my humble opinion. Scientist and engineer Deep Prasad, who has a lot of connections with people that are knowledgeable and well-connected within the UFO field, had this to say about what some of the other materials do that are in the possession of To the Stars Academy. One of them accelerates an electron without directly touching it. That is all I know. The other is a shapeshifter and changes dimensions based on current. The former is a smoking gun for ET tech, if it's real, and assuming To the Stars Academy didn't jump to conclusions the way they did with this. If it is true that the United States government does possess material forged by an intelligence outside of the human race, then that will come out sooner rather than later, in my opinion. It is not a secret that can be kept without end. It's also a secret that the longer you keep it, the harder it is for people to find the forgiving nature within the recesses of their soul. So if the Pentagon was to consult me, which they really should, and I'm only $1,200 an hour, I would tell them, look, get it all out as quickly as possible. People tend to be a lot more forgiving the more aggressive you are with honesty. Now, on a scale from 1 to 10, how exciting would it be for part of this disclosure process to encompass that every citizen of this planet learns that not only are we not alone, but at least the U.S. government has material from this other intelligence? Well, it would be a 45,000. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. The link is in the description below, or you could even become a patron. Or you can just slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.